There are certainly artists out there that have sort of written and spoken about their struggles with anxiety, and I've really identified with that and felt encouraged, because I think for a long time I didn't speak about it because I thought the industry would kind of turn around and not take me seriously. I think people were like, you can't exist in music with an anxiety disorder, like it's just not set up for that. But it's just not true. Like, you'll find a way, and audiences respect that honesty. My name's Grace Gillespie, and I'm a singer-songwriter and producer, originally from Devon, but now live in Bristol. I've always played music since I was really quite small. I played piano and I played saxophone, played in a lot of jazz bands. And then when I was about 18, I picked up a guitar, a sort of classical guitar I found lying around, and sort of that coincided with getting very obsessed with sort of folk music, I guess, like, you know, starting with like Dylan and those kind of people. When I was younger, I was really like fearless. You know, I got to secondary school, hopped on stage almost every weekend with various different bands I played in, and also solo as well. And like, obviously, that, you know, there's always some discomfort going on stage, but it wasn't really a big deal for me. And something changed, like at secondary school, just something, maybe like a little too much pressure or social pressure to fit in, and just something just changed inside me, and suddenly I was just like I stopped everything, didn't play anything, wouldn't go on stage anymore. Got to Liverpool and sort of continued to just practice my guitar, practice songwriting, but still kept it completely private. I'd go to other people's shows and watch that, and still just thought, there's just not in a million years am I going on stage. And a few people at that point knew I wrote songs and knew I was kind of interested, and they were very encouraging, but I just thought, no, not in a million years. And it was only after university I got to London, and then just slowly built up the courage to get on stage and to share my songs with the world. I think I just found Help Musicians via a Google search and sort of was reading about the charity. I didn't realise they directly funded people. I thought they just supported musicians. But then I sort of read about the funding and I thought, oh, it sounds good. And also because I was really encouraged by the fact they had adapted their funding to fit COVID circumstances. So I think there was more, you were able to apply for like marketing budget and those kind of things, like more marketing budget, which at the time was really important, because that was like, you know, online marketing was one of the few things you could do at this point if you were lucky enough to have new music. I read all about the sort of funding that Help Musicians offered, and I couldn't help but feeling it suited my situation and it was kind of offering the help that I really needed. So I just applied, and then they got back in touch and said that I'd got the funding, which was really fantastic news, because it wasn't exactly the best year in the world, so it was a good time to have a little bit of support in order to get things moving again. I really didn't know what to expect, and they were amazing. So I was sort of 3 hours of support. I thought that was going to be a really long time, and it absolutely flew by. So I received a lot of sort of different emails from Help Musicians once the funding was in place to sort of organise the different aspects. So I think I had a phone call as well, just discussing the different options that were available, and things, to be honest, it was really helpful, the phone call particularly, because there was lots of the funding that I hadn't fully understood. You know, I'd looked at it and thought, oh great, I'll apply. And I hadn't really fully understood the extent to which they offer, you know, certain sort of, you know, those sessions and the health support and stuff. And that was really good to have that sort of explained and really like slowly gone through so I could understand it. And I learned so much, and I've been able to apply that to all sorts of things since then. But specifically, there was a lot of advice from Jessie around sort of making a bit of finance from selling merch, and actually that's been something that I've really thought about. And also because I do a lot of art and a lot of other creative stuff, I've sort of been able to combine those two things and make a bit of a model where I can make some money to support my music via selling prints and those kind of things. She explained to me that you can do this sort of like pre-sale type thing, so you're not like at a loss initially. Just sort of stuff, I don't know, seems fairly obvious now, but at the time I really hadn't thought about it, and yeah, really good advice. Hearing that somebody had listened to my songs and had sort of said, yes, she deserves some support, really, it meant a lot at that point, because I'd been having a complete crisis, to be honest, for the last few months. And I think my sort of levels of self-confidence were like really, really wobbling, like personally and professionally. So to have that sort of like stake in the ground for me, like, we'll stand by you, we believe in you through this. It kind of really encouraged me to sort of get back behind myself as well. I was like, no, come on, I can do this. And I do think opening up about anxiety overall has just been a really good thing, both personally and professionally. I definitely think it's worth getting in touch with help musicians. There's a lot to be gained by contacting them, even if you're not going to apply straight away, but just getting in touch for a preliminary chat to see if it's the kind of thing that's suitable and that can help you.